Hello friends, welcome back, or if you're here for the first time, thank you for showing up. I'm gonna do a coloring chat. I did a flip through of the Christmas Owls Circulism Eclipse art book by Ajay Quinnell, and Eclipse Art Books commented on my video and said they would like to see some pages. And I colored one off camera. I did this owl because I'm not really coloring Christmas pictures right now. I am not going to do any more until December, but I didn't want to let them down. So I have seen some amazing pictures from this book, the Natura book, and I thought I would color one. I obviously have no idea what they are. So, I mean, I could either randomly flip through and just pick one, or I can just pick the first one that I come to, and do it. So, I mean, why don't I just do this one? I already have my markers. I'm using my Ohuhu brush markers with there's some of the pastels are in here. There's a couple, and a spray marker because unfortunately the 120 brush set does not have an appropriate yellow, which is extremely disappointing. They're all too dark, and as you can see, I already have the markers swatched out. They're all pretty close. I did pretty good with these, but their yellows are not even close to what this yellow needs to be. So I had to pull one from a different set. Extremely disappointing, but so the question is, can Tammy see the numbers? Oh, and it looks like they're all like this. So, can I see the numbers well enough to color while I'm on screen? We shall see. Let me figure out where to start, because I have old eyes. I usually just pick a number. I just have to see what speaks to me, and once I get started, I'll be fine. Alright, so why don't I start with 18? Alright. 18 is this one. So, I thought I would talk about, I don't know how well you can see. We'll zoom in a little bit here and see what we can do. See if I can not completely screw this up. See what this picture is when we're done. So I thought I would tell y'all, I was talking about reading books the other day, and I know it's very interesting, or at least something very interesting that I don't think a lot of people do, but my husband and I read books together, and it's not just, do we read the same book? Yes, but we read them together, and it's kind of a fun story how it started. He actually reads to me, or sometimes I'll read to him, and we'll read an entire book that way. And it's a lot of fun, although we don't sometimes read the books as fast as I want, because when I'm reading a book, I get into it, and I want to know how it ends. I want to know how it starts, you know, everything about it. And so sometimes we don't read fast enough. But so how it started was when my husband and I were dating. I noticed he had this set of books. He has the Tales of the Arabian Nights, the Richard Burton translated version. And if you've ever seen it, it looks like a set of encyclopedias. It is like, I didn't count them. I can't remember how many volumes it is. I think it's at least 12 volumes. So, and he had never read it. I think his parents got it for him for Christmas one year, and he'd never read it. I mean, we are all familiar with a lot of the stories of the Arabian Nights, and I said, tell you what, when we get married and we're living together like every day and we can start on our honeymoon, I said, why don't we read read a story every night? Because, it's just, I figured they were small bites and it would be cool to read. So on our honeymoon, we took the first book and we started reading. And also, so my husband does not drive. He can. He has a driver's license. There is nothing that stops him. He will occasionally, if he absolutely has to, but he's not comfortable with it. He's just not someone who is comfortable driving, and I am okay with that. Because if I made him do it and something happened to him, I would never forgive myself. So I'm usually the one driving. The only exception is Tammy can't drive two cars at once, and sometimes we have to take the Mustang in for work or something like that, so he'll have to drive, and he always wants to drive my car. I always joke with him because the other funny thing is he loves cars. We both love cars. We've watched Top Gear for a long time. And I mean, when Jeremy and them stopped being on Top Gear, we stopped watching that version, and then we started watching the Amazon version. The name is escaping me at this moment, of what it's called. But anyway, I'm sure if you're fans, y'all know. So, so he reads to me while I'm driving, because he's from Ann Arbor and I'm from Ohio, and I live in the Columbus area, and so it's like a 3-hour drive. It's 198 miles, and so we go back and forth. And so, there's a lot of time to read, and it's an hour and something to my parents' house from here. So whenever we're together, we take a book and he reads to me. So that's kind of the backstory. So we started reading the Tales of the Arabian Nights on our honeymoon. We got married in May 16th, 2009. And we started reading, and he would read me. Well, when we're in the car together, he'll read more than one story, obviously. But then when we're at home, it was like one a night or sometimes two. Because if you've ever read the Tales of the Arabian Nights, it starts off with Scheherazade, the king, or whatever he's called. I can't remember because it's been so long. I mean, it was 2009 when we started reading it. And, he can't find a woman that makes him happy, and the vizier's daughter decides to take it on because he'll marry him and then he kills him. And the vizier's daughter says, take me to him, Dad. I think I can win him over. And so, as you know, the story is she tells him a story every night, but she doesn't tell him the end until the next day. So the story is interesting enough. He wants to hear the end of it so he can't kill her. And so, obviously, I think everyone knows, unless you've been living in a hole, that obviously she survives in the end, but it's years. I mean, they have kids and stuff. There's like all kinds of things that happen. And I'm not going to lie, it would have been very useful if I understood more about the culture and Muslims and things like that, because it helps explain why they do some of the things they do and some of their I mean, obviously this was written a few hundred years ago, so it's very old. So the stories, you have to understand, you have to take yourself back. And like all the tales of Sinbad were taken from the tales of the Arabian Nights. That's where Sinbad came from. And so there's all kinds of stories. And sometimes there's a story within a story within a story. And you have to kind of keep track. And then there's the barber, who I just wanted to, I wanted him to shut up so bad. I hated the barber. The barber has many tales, and oh my goodness. I'm like, please, can we get through these stories? Because I can't. Something about him, I don't remember what it was, but he's so annoying. And so it was really cool. I mean, it took us 3 years to read all of them, doing it that way. Because sometimes you do have to take it in chunks, because it's not easy on some level to read. But let me tell you what I learned in this whole journey that we went on, in that the stories of Sinbad, and that is, Sinbad is a douchebag. I loved the stories of Sinbad until, and the Harryhausen stories are good, and I don't remember if those are what's in, because recently William and I were talking about this, and they're actually at the end, you finish the Arabian Nights, the original 1001 tales, 1001 Nights, and then you get like studies of the stories, which we haven't read because to me they're kind of boring, and I think William has been reading them, but they're kind of dry. And then you get additional stories, which I didn't realize. So apparently we need to go read those stories. But so we finished the Arabian Nights. Well, as we were reading, there was lots of stories of Sinbad. And so I start to realize that he's not as cool in the stories as we all thought he was. And I'm sorry if I am totally just dispelling you're a Sinbad fan, and oh, but man. So he keeps going out on this boat and bad things happen, and he's not bright enough to stay home. He keeps going back out, even though nothing good ever happens when he's on these trips. So you have several stories, and they're not back to back, they're here and there. And so this one time, and this is what really made me think about Sinbad, is not really a hero. He's a douchebag, because he goes out on this boat, it sinks. That's usually what happens. He ends up on this island, and there's a civilization on this island, and it's a fairly, there's people, they live in homes, that kind of thing. And so he does something for the king, and the king says, well, you can marry my daughter. So the daughter, he and the daughter gets married. Now, he doesn't ask any questions about society or anything like that. He just marries her. I mean, and to be fair, I guess, why would you have a reason? But, he goes into this fairly quickly in the story. And so, what bad could happen, Well, so for some reason, his wife dies. She gets sick and she dies. That happens. So what he has failed to do is ask about their customs. So their custom is that when your spouse dies, you get buried with them. So they go up to this, they bury you in this mountain hole. And like I said, it's on an island, so they bury you in this hole and they give you like 3 days worth of bread and water, right? Why? I don't know, because you're going to die. Why prolong it? So he's in this hole, and obviously he's trying to figure out how to get out. And he's rationing his water and his food for as long as he can. And eventually, someone else dies, and someone else gets lowered into the hole, right? And Sinbad, this person that we look at as a hero, does not go, oh, hey, you're down here too. How can we spread our bread and water out even longer? How do we figure out how to get out of this hole? Because they lower a ladder down into this big hole that's in this mountain. And there's just no way out. So instead of trying to get help, what does he do? Hits the person over the head, kills them, and steals their food. I mean, granted, that's what human beings do. It's just that when you're looking at someone as a hero type, you don't really look at them as doing that, right? And then he does it again and again and again. He's just, no, I'm not going to be the hero. I'm not going to have people help me. I'm just going to kill them and steal their food. And so that is why I have come to the conclusion that Sinbad is a douchebag. And not really the hero that we have all come to believe that he is, right? So, there you go. Sorry if I spoiled that for anybody. Sorry if, I've dispelled your illusions of Sinbad. But they do change the stories a lot for TV, if all you've ever seen. The stories are somewhat different. I mean, they're similar enough that but they're not as grandiose as they make them in the movies, I'll put it that way. So it took us like 3 years to get through the stories. And that was cool. And then I kind of missed, I missed the reading. So we started to find other things to read. And like I said, I got hooked on the Douglas Preston Lincoln Child series, which is the Relic and Reliquary. And William, I wasn't far. I had been catching up on the book series because, they were, like I said, I can't remember how many books in they were when I started reading, but it was quite a few, and they had written individual books and stuff like that on their own, and I'd been collecting them. Like, I'll go to Half Price Books and get their hardback copies. Okay, I think I've got all of the 18s thus far. I think we're pretty good. Then we're doing some 19s. Okay. So William had caught up, and then, pretty much Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child put out a book every year. So 19 is PB2. Okay. So once he caught up with me on the book series, we started reading those. Now, he doesn't read the David Baldacci's with me. But like I said, if you want a really good book, The Cabinet of Curiosities. You probably should start at the beginning. My fear is that, Relic and Reliquary, even though it was what was made into a movie, it is not my favorite, and it's them getting started in the series, and it's good, but they get, sorry, I keep hitting the camera. They get a lot better as time goes on. So, you know, so it was fun for us. That's how we started reading books together. And we still do, and we find new books. And it's usually the new Douglas Preston Lincoln Child book. And I think we're reading Scorpion's Tale, which is another spin-off series that they did with a girl that he meets in Still Life with Crows. He meets Corey Swanson. She's a girl. She's not, I mean, she's like a teenager when he meets her, and she becomes a recurring character in the book, and she kind of grows up, and she becomes an FBI agent, and he has some stories with her, but now she's got her own series of books with another character, like one of the characters in the book. They do a really good job of, this is what I like about Douglas Preston Lincoln Child. And in real life, one or both of them are archaeologists. I think they both are. I cannot remember. And historians. And one of them is actually ran the Natural Museum of History in New York at one point. And I mean, they have a lot of history, and they write really good books together. So it's a great thing to pick up, and they've done a really good job with consistency. And one of them, I can't remember which one of them, wrote a book about a true murder serial killer. What was it called? Shoot. It was about murders in Italy in like the 60s and 70s. And if you really want to get scared of Italian law, I mean, it's a good book to read, but it's a true, I can't remember the name of the serial killer either. That's gonna bug me, and I don't think I have anything. I'll have to look it up. Maybe I can manage to look it up in a minute here. After I do all the 19s. But it's an interesting one to read. And because he actually, one of them lived in Italy for a while in the area. And that's how he found out about, or, you know, really got into the whole serial killer thing. And it's a really interesting story, his involvement in trying to figure out the serial killer. So we're reading Scorpion's Tale, and then we have the new Pendergast book, which is Bloodless, I think it's called. So I'm really excited. We decided to read the Corey Swanson one first because it came out first. I'm not good sometimes at keeping up with things that, you know, of course, if I wait, I'll be like stressed out. Like, when is it going to come out? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to read it. But that's the way we have been with all the books. And they're very smart. They use like words that, they use interesting words sometimes that I've never heard. And we'll have to look them up. There's always some obscure word that they'll throw into every book somewhere. And so that's kind of a neat little Easter egg if you're into that kind of stuff. But they're kind of, it's a murder, they're all murder mysteries, but it's like supernatural kind of stuff, like demons. Every book has something different, so weird creatures and demons and stuff like that. And Pendergast himself is his own interesting creature. So kind of afraid to do a lot of these all together because I'm afraid I'm going to miss one. But we'll try. I have no idea what this picture is, but it'll be cool, and I'm trying not to take forever doing it either. So let's see, what else? I told you the story of how my husband and I read books together. Now my brain has gone blank. Let me look up the name of that book, because it's really interesting if you're at all interested in that kind of stuff. And then I'll come back. I'll finish some of these, some more of these squares, so you don't have to sit here and watch me color them all in, like this color. And then maybe I can also think of something else to talk about. And I might need to eat dinner in the middle too, because I didn't realize how late it is. But I don't want to leave you all hanging. So give me a minute and I'll be back. All right, so the book was called The Monster of Florence, and it was by Douglas Preston and Mario Spezzi, who was actually a journalist who was a expert on the Monster of Florence, because the serial killer was actually known as the Monster of Florence. And he killed 14 people from 1974 to 1985. And there's just, I mean, actually they accuse, at some point, Douglas Preston gets accused of being a serial killer, I think, if I remember right. And so many people, they believe, this is the weirdest, the funniest part. There's some like funny anecdotes in here about where there's these antique doorstops, and it's like a stone, and everyone in like this area has them, and it's just a stone. And at some point the police accuse anybody who has one of these stones as a doorstop as being a satanic serial killer or something like that. I mean, it's just bizarre. But it's an interesting story, a very interesting read, about a serial killer I didn't know about. Not that I, have to, know about serial killers. It's intriguing. Yeah, I read a lot about Jack the Ripper and have read many books on Jack the Ripper, as it's fascinating. Any kind of unsolved mystery is really my bag. I'm intrigued. Of course, when I was a kid, the Titanic was just like, where was the Titanic? And then they found her, so that's at least one mystery that got solved in my lifetime. We'll see if any more do, but so let's see. Yeah, from my last color and chat, people gave me some interesting suggestions on TV shows that I need to check out. I should have looked up. Yeah, we are watching another interesting show that we've been watching from, the time machine, is Sapphire and Steel, which is because we've been watching The Man from U.N.C.L.E. We're getting the discs from Netflix. And so we're almost done with The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Of course, because we watched NCIS and David McCullum was on there. And I'm like, hey, what was he in? And so that's why we started watching The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is just a lovely show if you've never seen it. And every episode is the something affair. So everything is an affair. And so, you know, when my husband is asking me, when we have a disc and my husband's asking me what we want to do, I'm like, hey, do you want to go downstairs and paint and watch and have an affair? Because I am always joking with him that when we're out in public together, we better be careful because people will think we're having an affair with each other, which we are. So when I did fill in some more. I found some blue 18s that I was missing. And then I had colored by accident blue some 24s. So I colored them black really quick. So I wouldn't forget because they were colored. Because, you know, we do make mistakes. I still wonder, like, what this picture is going to end up being. Because I don't know. I've seen some people's colored pictures from here. But I don't know which one it is. But they're just lovely. I mean, I love these kind of books, though. I love mystery books, mystery mosaics type books, where you don't know what the picture is going to be. And it honestly doesn't ruin it for me, seeing the answers. Because it also doesn't ruin it for me reading the end of books sometimes because I have to. You know, like a funny story. Did I tell you about Atonement and how when the Atonement movie came out, it's always a struggle for me to figure out whether I want to read the book or watch the movie or both. You know, everyone says, oh, the book is better. So I saw, like, back whenever it was, the Atonement was going to come out, and it looked really good. And I wanted to see it. And somehow I got the book. And my mom wanted to see it too. And I don't remember if it was just the movie she watched. Or I had the movie and I wanted to read the book first, and I don't remember why. But anyway, so I was reading the book and I was bored off of my rocker. I was so bored reading this book that I eventually just kind of skipped and said, screw it, and read the end because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't go any farther. And then I read the end and I'm like, oh, well, I'm glad I didn't weed through this book because it disappointed me. I didn't really like it. And I don't know if the movie was the same. I assume it did have the same kind of an ending. And it just kind of wouldn't have been my cup of tea. So if you don't know, I can watch, you know, it's not something happy for me. Don't get me wrong. But I watch action movies, you know, blood, guts, gore, whatever. Of course, you know, it's in a movie, it's not real. So it doesn't bother me. I mean, like, I can watch it all day long. You do something to an animal and I will start screaming at the TV. And there are just a lot of things that I can't watch because of that. Because the lowest people on earth are the people who hurt children and animals. And it's for that reason that I can't watch War Horse, even though I really, really want to watch War Horse. I know I will bawl my eyes out, like, within 2 minutes. You know, like the beginning of Dumbo or Bambi or anything else. So my mom, I guess there's some point in this book or movie where the soldiers, like, they line the soldiers up and they're yelling at them or something like that. Because my mom says to me, how did you make it through? And I'm like, well, I haven't watched the movie yet, or something like that. And she's like, oh, well, good, because you wouldn't like this. And she says, I thought you knew it was coming. I said, well, to be honest, I kind of skipped, like, most of the book in the middle. And I guess there's at some point where they line up the soldiers and their horses, and then they shoot their horses or something like that. And yeah, it would have really upset me. So I thought that was kind of funny. Oh, I just skipped it. Alright, so as you can see, I finished a lot of this off camera. I ended up approaching it, I started finding some black spaces, and then I ended up just doing all the black because it was showing me some of the picture, and then it became really, really easy. I mean, sitting down, it probably took me about an hour to finish this page, because once I got all the black in here, then I just kind of had patches of color, and it's beautiful. This is kind of like the Color Morphia, or Color Morphia? Colortronic, duh. Color Morphia. Where did that come from? I know where it came from. So I just thought I would, and I didn't want this video to take forever. I didn't want you to sit and watch me color in circles forever. So I thought I would finish it up really quick. I've got some ideas for videos. I love doing color and chats. I just got to get better at finding things to chat about. I'll start making notes. I need to get a little book, and I have tons of little books because I like to write. And let me try to move this just a hair. Every time I move my thing, it gets all... Anyway, I'll have to fix it later. Let me just zoom out a little bit. So I'm just gonna finish coloring in these little circles here. So that way you can see, like, I found that approaching it by doing all the black worked, but that may not work with every picture. And as with everything, if you are worried about doing these because they seem overwhelming, you know, you just pick a number, you know, where you can see like a bunch of them together, and that's the number you start with. And all of my color by number books I approach differently depending on the pictures. So let me turn it like this way so you can see it. It looks weird upside down, but who cares? So that way we can finish the picture, but I just didn't want the video to take forever. And I was afraid, like when I did the Christmas owl picture, I actually did it and I'm like, well, when he posted, or, I mean, I'm assuming it's a he because AJ is the one who publishes the books, but, or who's the artist, but Eclipse Art Books is who commented on my video about wanting to see pages. And I was afraid that if I did it just on Instagram, because my name isn't the same on Instagram as it is here, I thought, well, they won't see it. So that's why I decided to do like a video where I'm coloring one, and I will post it to Instagram too. But on Instagram, I am at Tammy Niebling. And then let's see. Can we get the rest of it in here? I have to fix my camera later. But this is going to be so much fun. I probably won't do any more until after Christmas. Well, in this book. Now, the Christmas Owls is another story because it's Christmas. And I'm going to color Christmas. So, here is my finished picture. If you can see that. Ta-da! All finished. It's beautiful. That's the very first picture in the book. I love it. I love how these come out. The Natura book. Fabulous. You can come out with more of these. I love them all. I have the other one that I have besides the Christmas Owls is the sea one with the sea creatures, which was the very first one that they came out. I need to collect some more because I really enjoyed doing these, so I'll end up getting them all at some point. And the colors for the Ohuhu brush markers, of course, you have to have I have the 120 set, and then I have the set of pastels, and then I had to find one other yellow, remember, but which I'm sure in their huge set, because what I just saw 320 set, if that doesn't have a yellow, I think I would be severely disappointed. But so there you go. If you like my coloring chats, let me know. I try to keep them around a half an hour, 45 minutes. That's not, I mean, I do watch people's hour, 2-hour coloring chats. But I just thought keeping them short is better. And we'll see. I don't know what y'all like, so help me. I mean, I can find lots of things to talk about. So, but now I have to go mow the grass. It'll be the last time for the year. My husband and I are going to go out and mow the grass for the last time, and then put the lawnmowers away and never have to, not have to mow it again until the spring. So, I hope y'all have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this. And Eclipse Art Books, you're doing a great job. Definitely come out with some more of these, you know, do an Easter one. That would be fun. Winter would be good. I mean, this is kind of wintry, but I love it. It's fabulous. I'll be picking up the rest of these, I think. So, have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.